Officer, I'm just reaching for my license. I'm a nurse. Red and blue glare off the dusty windshield, washing the quiet Georgia back road in emergency colors. Deputy Ryan Dalton plants his flashlight beam square in her face, middle-aged black woman, faded Honda, easing through a mostly white subdivision. His mouth twists. You don't belong out here. Sir, please. Her voice shakes despite everything she's survived. My 7-year-old daughter is scared. Her words come out small, almost swallowed by the thrum of crickets and idling engines. Dalton leans closer, breath sour, eyes hard. Then take your welfare kid back to the projects, he sneers. This road isn't for your kind, sweetheart. In the back seat, Jada's sobs turn hiccupy, panicked. Cars pass without slowing. A black single mom, empty highway. One-armed deputy, he thinks she's an easy mark. What Dalton never bothered to find out is the one detail that will crack his whole life open. Naomi Carter's older brother isn't some nobody back in town. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Reed commands a Delta Force team, the kind of man who plans nightmares for people who abuse power. Dalton doesn't know that yet. He just sees a scared woman, a child, and cash he thinks no one will ever fight for. The emergency department at Cedarville General never really quiets down, only changes pitch. Machines hum, monitors chirp, someone is always crying or cursing. Naomi has lived on night shifts for nearly 8 years. 12 hours on her feet, 12 hours of blood, adrenaline, wrecked bodies, and split-second choices. Fluorescent lights buzz above her. Antiseptic clings to her navy scrubs. Her legs ache in ways she stopped counting a decade ago. But Naomi is the kind of nurse people pray for when things go wrong. The one who stays steady when everyone else panics, who talks a terrified father through chest compressions, who squeezes a dying woman's hand at 3 a.m. and whispers, "You're not alone." She fights for every chart like family. Tonight, like so many nights, she clocks out at 9, mind still racing through the last trauma bay. A 20-year-old thrown from a motorcycle, helmet cracked like an eggshell. 3 hours of chaos, surgeons barking orders, blood on the floor, family sobbing in the hallway. They stabilized him. Naomi knows she helped keep him here, but she'll file him away the way she does every patient. She can't keep them all in her chest. In her scrub pocket, an envelope presses against her palm, unfamiliar and hopeful. $480, all cash. Overtime thank you money pooled by nurses who decided it was Naomi's week. They started the fund last year, slipping envelopes to whoever had carried the heaviest load. This time, her coworkers picked her without hesitation. Naomi already decided what it's for, getting the air conditioning fixed in her car. Georgia summers feel like punishment. Her daughter shouldn't be baking in a rolling oven. The car is a 2010 Honda Civic. Gray paint bleached by too many summers, 190,000 miles grinding in the engine. The driver's window jams when the humidity spikes. The radio fizzles whenever she hits a pothole. But Naomi keeps that car immaculate. Oil changed on time. Inspections current. Registration valid. Every bulb checked. It's what she can manage on a nurse's pay, and she refuses to be ashamed of that. She takes Cedarville's side streets toward her mother's house. At this hour, the town feels hollowed out. Street lights throw orange halos over cracked sidewalks and quiet driveways. Campaign signs stick out of lawns like plastic weeds. Sheriff Randall Keaton's grinning face beams from every third yard. Keeping Whitmore County safe. 4 terms already. Shamelessly chasing a 5th. Naomi barely registers the signs. Politics feels distant when rent is due. She eases into her mother's driveway. The porch light glows like a tiny lighthouse. It's always on when Jada is there. Jada Carter, 7 years old, wide gap between her front teeth, Naomi's dark eyes, her uncle's stubborn jaw. Naomi barely gets through the door before Jada launches herself across the faded rug. "Mommy, Mommy! Grandma let me stay up!" Naomi scoops her up, breathing in shampoo and safety. "Did she now?" Naomi's mother, Evelyn Carter, appears in the kitchen doorway, one hand on her lower back. 75, silver hair braided down her spine, hands twisted by years at the textile mill. She raised 2 kids solo, double shifts until her body finally said, "No!" Complaining was never an option. Survival was. "She wanted to see you," Evelyn says softly. "Said she couldn't sleep till you came." Naomi sets Jada down, smoothing her t-shirt. "Say bye to Grandma, baby. We have to get home." But Jada's mind is already chasing something bigger. "Mama, when are we going to get our own house?" The question hits like a punch. Naomi has been saving month after month, a few extra dollars scraped into a separate account. A down payment feels like climbing a mountain barefoot, but she is climbing. "Soon, bug," Naomi answers, forcing a smile. "We're working on it." Evelyn touches her arm as she reaches for her keys. "Has Marcus called?" Marcus Reed, half-brother technically, different fathers, same fierce mother. But labels never mattered. He's been Naomi's shield since she was 5, and kids on the playground decided she was an easy target. He texted, said he's wrapping up a mission, back stateside this week. Something flickers over Evelyn's face. Worry, maybe relief, maybe both. "Good, it's been too long," Jada tugs Naomi's sleeve. "What does Uncle Marcus do again?" The question returns every few months, curiosity growing with her. Naomi gives the same careful answer. "He protects people, baby." Neither of them understands yet exactly how literal that's about to become. They step into the night air, heavy and buzzing with cicadas. Jada climbs into her booster seat, humming some cartoon theme under her breath. Naomi buckles her in, kisses her forehead, then slides behind the wheel. The radio lands on something soft, R&B washed thin by static. Jada makes up nonsense lyrics, giggling. County Road. 11 stretches ahead in 2 narrow lanes, pine trees crowding both shoulders, the warm smell of asphalt drifting through the cracked window. Dashboard clock, 9:14 p.m. Blue and red flare suddenly in Naomi's rearview mirror, punching straight through her chest. Instinct takes over before thought. She checks her speedometer. 38 in a 40. Not speeding, her hands go slick anyway. She signals, eases onto the gravel shoulder, kills the engine. Both hands climb to the wheel. 10 and 2. Fingers spread, everything visible. All the lessons about staying alive in a traffic stop snap into place. Jada's humming stops mid-note. "Mama, what's happening?" Her voice is thin, scared. Naomi swallows. "It's okay, baby. Just stay still. Don't talk." In the mirror, the patrol car sits motionless, lights strobing. A minute drags by, then another. No one gets out. Her heart hammers in her ears. She wipes her palms on her scrubs, returns them to the wheel, forcing herself to breathe evenly as gravel crunches. Finally, the driver's door opens. Heavy footsteps, slow and deliberate, grind along the shoulder. A harsh beam knifes through Naomi's window, blinding her. Deputy Ryan Dalton looms tall, broad shoulders filling her side view, hand resting close to his sidearm. Badge number 2316, dark uniform, blank expression. Naomi doesn't know yet about the file stacked against him. All she feels is the wrongness crawling under her skin. License and registration. His tone is clipped, mechanical. Yes, sir. Naomi moves like she's underwater. I'm reaching for the glove box, she narrates, fingers trembling. She pulls out her paperwork and passes it through the half-stuck window. Dalton snatches it without thanks, studying the documents in his flashlight's glare. This your car? Yes, sir. You buy it yourself? Her stomach tightens. Yes, sir. 3 years ago. Paid it off. Dalton swings his light into the back seat. The beam lands square on Jada's face. She flinches, throwing up a small hand to block it. Who's that? My daughter, Naomi says carefully. He grunts, looks back to the license. You know why I stopped you? No, sir. Your plate light's dim. Naomi had checked every bulb last week, but arguing feels like playing with matches in a dry forest. Why, I'll get it looked at, she says. He doesn't hand back her papers. Instead, the flashlight roams the interior again, slow and hungry. Where you coming from? Work, Cedarville General. I'm a nurse. Where you headed? Home. Address, she gives it. He writes it down, pen scratching. The questions keep flowing. How long has she worked nights? Anyone else drive this car? Does she always use this route? Each question feels less like curiosity and more like probing for weakness. In the back, Jada whispers, Mama, why's he being mean? Dalton isn't shouting, not technically, but his tone cuts sharp enough to shave skin. Naomi turns her head just a fraction. It's okay, baby. Did I say you could move? He snaps. The words crack across the night. Naomi freezes, chin forward, hands glued to the wheel. I was just calming my daughter. She's scared, Naomi says. Face front, hands on the wheel, so she does. Jada's quiet sniffles swell into outright crying, little shoulders shaking. Dalton leans closer, shadow falling over Naomi's lap. Step out of the vehicle. May I ask why, officer? Step out, now! Each word lands like a shove. Naomi unbuckles slowly, praying her knees don't buckle when she stands. The night presses hot and sticky around her. Mosquitoes whine near her ears. Turn around, hands on the car, Dalton orders. Sir, I haven't done anything wrong. Hands on the car. She places her palms flat on the warm metal, the engine ticking as it cools. Jada screams high and raw, Mommy! Naomi doesn't dare turn. Cold metal circles her wrists. The ratcheting click of handcuffs echoes too loud. You're detaining me, she manages. Standard procedure, he says, bored. Nothing about this feels standard. Dalton grabs her elbow and hauls her towards the patrol car, not bothering to be gentle. He shoves her against the hood. Heat seeps through her thin scrubs, mixing with exhaust and old spilled coffee. Stay put. He stalks back to her Honda, yanking doors open, rifling through compartments like he owns everything inside. A pair of headlights appear in the distance, approaching slow. The sedan eases over about 50 yards back. Behind the wheel sits Harold Briggs, 72, retired middle school history teacher whose whole career was spent telling kids right from wrong. His dash cam has been recording since he left his driveway. It captures exactly 4 minutes and 38 seconds. Enough to show every word, every shove, every lie Dalton will tell. Dalton digs into Naomi's scrub pocket and finds the envelope. $480, neatly folded. He lifts it like something toxic. Where'd this cash come from? Tips from work. My co-workers gave it to me, she answers. His mouth curls. That's a lot of cash for a nurse. He mutters into his radio, too low for her to catch, then wanders back, eyes flat. Camera's glitchy tonight, he says. His tone is almost casual. So it's basically your word against mine. The sentence hangs between them like a trap. 200 yards south, a military transport jet kisses the runway at Fort Benning, wheels screeching. Marcus Reed stands among the returning soldiers, duffel at his feet, exhaustion in his bones. His phone is still on silent. He has no idea that miles away, his little sister is terrified and bleeding. The Whitmore County Sheriff's Office squats on Cedarville's east edge, a squat red brick building with a sagging flag out front. Inside, fluorescent lights buzz over beige walls and scuffed gray tile. Everything smells like stale coffee, old paper, and recycled air. Naomi sits shackled to a plastic chair bolted to the floor, wrists throbbing where the cuffs bit into her skin. She keeps rubbing the marks, chasing comfort that won't come. Across the room, Jada perches on another plastic chair, legs swinging far above the ground. She clutches her stuffed rabbit, one of the few things Dalton allowed her to keep from the car. Her cheeks are blotchy from crying, eyes huge and hollow now. 4 hours crawl past. No one explains why Naomi is being held. No one lets her call an attorney. Paperwork, the desk sergeant shrugs. Sit tight. Dalton already logged her envelope into property, handing over a thin white slip. Property receipt, WC 2024-9982. She reads it again and again, the words burned into her mind. Reason for seizure: cash of suspected illicit origin, civil asset forfeiture. Naomi has seen the phrase online, horror stories in comment sections. Police can take money, cars, even homes without charges. Owners have to prove innocence. Most never can. The money slides into department budgets, untraceable, unaccountable. Naomi never thought her envelope, her car repair dreams, would get swallowed that way. Near 11:30 p.m., Dalton finally strolls over, clipboard in hand. Sign this, he says. She scans the incident report. Driver displayed aggressive attitude. Subject resisted lawful commands. Possible signs of intoxication observed. Physical resistance required restraints. Every sentence lies. Her pulse spikes. I'm not signing that, she says. Dalton shrugs like it's no big deal. Your call. But if you don't cooperate, this gets messy. I want to call a lawyer, Naomi insists. He glances at the clock. Almost midnight. Good luck finding one who picks up. He walks away, leaving her with the clipboard, buzzing lights, and the sour knowledge that the system is built exactly for this. Across the room, Jada watches quietly, absorbing everything. 4:45 a.m. They finally unchain Naomi. No charges, no apology, barely any eye contact. A younger deputy, one who hadn't been there earlier, hands her keys back and mumblers, "You're free to go." Free. The word tastes bitter. Outside, her Honda sits under a flickering security light, just where Dalton parked it after driving it to the station. The trunk gapes open like a wound, her possessions strewn carelessly inside. Emergency kit, half unpacked, jumper cables tangled, a donation box of Jada's outgrown clothes dumped over. They pawed through every inch and found nothing, yet still walked away with her cash. Naomi gathers everything with shaking hands, shoves it back into the trunk, slams it shut. She opens the back door. Jada is already asleep, body limp, face tear-streaked. Naomi lifts her carefully, cradling all that warm, trusting weight. She straps Jada into the booster, brushing curls off her forehead, watching her chest rise and fall. Then Naomi slides behind the wheel. The roads outside town are nearly empty. Cedarville slumbers while her world feels scraped raw. The dashboard clock blinks 2:17 a.m. Her hands tremble so badly she has to grip the wheel with both palms. Adrenaline drains, leaving exhaustion and a hard simmering kind of rage. But she won't cry in front of Jada, not if she can help it. Her daughter has seen enough tonight. Naomi drives back toward her mother's house on autopilot, each familiar turn feeling strangely foreign. She pulls into Evelyn's driveway around 2:30 a.m. Porch light, still burning. Evelyn is already on the steps, robe tight, eyes sharp. She doesn't ask questions. She just opens her arms and waits. Naomi steps into that embrace and everything shatters. Ugly, choking sobs tear out of her, the kind she hasn't let herself release in years. She cries into her mother's shoulder while Jada sleeps in the car, blessedly unaware of this part. When Naomi finally empties out, Evelyn guides her inside, sits her at the worn kitchen table, presses a glass of water into her trembling hands. "Tell me, all of it." Naomi does, every second. The lights, the questions, the handcuffs, the search, the money, the lies on that report. When she's done, Evelyn is silent, jaw tight, eyes blazing with something fierce and old. Then she moves, reaching for the phone hanging on the wall. "I'm calling Marcus," she says. "Mom, it's almost 3, Naomi protests weakly. "I don't care if it's 3 in the morning or noon." "He needs to know what they did," Evelyn says. Naomi doesn't argue. She's too wrung out to fight about anything. She steps back outside, lifts Jada gently from the car, carries her to the guest room. Jada stirs. "Mama? I'm here, baby. Go back to sleep. Are we safe?" The question slices Naomi open, but she keeps her voice steady, iron strong. "We're safe. I promise." Jada drifts under again. Naomi sits on the edge of the bed, watching her daughter breathe, small hands curled around the stuffed rabbit. Down the hall, Evelyn's voice is low and urgent, spilling every detail into the phone. At the sheriff's office miles away, Deputy Ryan Dalton ends his shift like any other. Logs out, shrugs on his jacket. Another deputy falls in step beside him in the parking lot. Curiosity. "Lazy. Yeah, long night?" the other man asks. Dalton shrugs. "Nothing major. Pulled over some woman on County Road 11. Made a big scene out of nothing." "You get anything?" "480 in cash. Probably dope money." The deputy laughs. "Nice." Dalton grins, sliding his keys into his pickup door. "Nobody's gonna make noise about it. They never do." He drives home and sleeps like a man who thinks he's untouchable. He's not. At Fort Benning, a phone buzzes on a metal nightstand in officers' quarters. Marcus Reed, still in uniform pants and a t-shirt, answers on the second ring. "Mom, what's wrong?" He listens in silence, one hand braced on the edge of the bed. He doesn't interrupt. When Evelyn finishes, the room feels smaller. "What's the deputy's name?" he asks quietly. "Ryan Dalton." A beat. "All right, I'm coming." Morning light spills through Evelyn's kitchen windows, warm and golden, pretending the world is gentle. Coffee percolates, filling the air with something rich and familiar. The wall clock ticks loud in the quiet. Outside, birds chatter in the pines. Naomi sits at the table, staring at a water stain on the formica, having never fallen asleep. Every time she shut her eyes, blue lights exploded behind her lids. The front door opens. Heavy, purposeful footsteps cross the hall. Footsteps she could recognize in a storm. Marcus Reed steps into the kitchen, taller and broader than the boy who left home 2 decades ago, shoulders built by years under rucksacks and armor. 45 years old, close-cropped hair, eyes lined with shadows. 20 years in the Army, 15 with units that officially barely exist. Right now, he's just her brother. "Nene," he says softly, using the nickname only he ever uses. That's all it takes. She stands and walks straight into his arms. The tears come again, hot and humiliating. But with Marcus, she doesn't have to pretend to be made of steel. He's been her wall since childhood. From the hallway, a small gasp. "Uncle Marcus!" Jada barrels toward him in socks, half her hair still braided. He scoops Jada up with one arm, keeping the other wrapped around Naomi's shoulders. For a long moment, the three of them stand tangled together, the kitchen smelling like coffee and grief. Finally, Naomi scrubs at her face. "I'm sorry. I know you just got back from—" "Don't," he cuts in gently. "Just start at the beginning. Every detail." So she tells it again, voice steadier this time, rage replacing shock. She walks him through the stop, the questions that didn't fit, the cuffs, the search, the envelope that vanished into Dalton's pocket, the 4 sleepless hours, the falsified report. Marcus listens without interrupting, jaw flexing, eyes narrowing. Naomi knows that look. It's the one he wears when he's planning, mapping angles and contingencies. "You get his full name?" he asks finally. "Deputy Ryan Dalton," she answers. He nods once. Marcus pulls out his phone. "What are you going to do?" Naomi asks. "What I do best," he says. "Gather intel. Build a plan." Evelyn appears in the doorway, arms folded. "Marcus, don't you go doing something reckless." He almost smiles. "Mama, I don't do reckless. I do things by the book." He pauses. "I just happen to know the whole book, including the parts they hope nobody reads." Well, he starts making calls. Short, controlled conversations filled with acronyms and names. Naomi doesn't recognize. Old teammates, JAG officers, someone in military intelligence, a buddy now with the state attorney's office, favors called in, introductions requested, strings tugged. 15 minutes, 6 calls, each one dropping a piece into an invisible puzzle. When he's finished, he turns back to Naomi. "There's a civil rights attorney in Atlanta," he says. "Name's Lorraine Mitchell. She's tough, specializes in police misconduct and civil forfeiture. I'll get you in front of her." Naomi frowns. "How do you even know her?" Marcus shrugs. "I know people who know people." Over the next 2 weeks, he promises he'll keep pulling on threads, personnel files, complaint histories, forfeiture records. "I'm going to see exactly how rotten this department is," he says quietly, "and how to crack it." "Marcus, this is a county sheriff's office," Naomi reminds him. "They've got friends, donors, judges. And I've got colonels, lawyers, and operators who owe me favors," he replies. "Difference is, my people don't scare easy." Jada tugs his sleeve. "Uncle Marcus, are you going to make the bad man go away?" He kneels to her level, eyes softening. "Yeah, baby. Uncle Marcus is working on it." She hugs his neck hard. When he stands, his expression shifts back to steel. "They picked the wrong family," he tells Naomi. "They just don't realize it yet." Over the next week, Marcus makes 17 calls, each one careful, each one connecting another dot. Meanwhile, in downtown Atlanta, Lorraine Mitchell's office sits on the 14th floor of a glass tower, windows spilling out over a skyline she once only saw on postcards. Lorraine is 56 now, silver glinting through her coils, reading glasses perched low. 3 decades of public defense, civil rights suits, and federal litigation have carved patience and sharpness into her face. She's gone head-to-head with police unions, city councils, and corporate legal teams. She's lost some, won others, learned from all of them. When Naomi Carter walks into her office, Lorraine doesn't bother with small talk or sympathy. She gestures toward the chair opposite her desk, legal pad already in hand. "Start from the top," she says. "Don't skip anything. If it seems minor, tell me anyway." Naomi tells it all yet again, the 4th retelling. Somehow, the details cut sharper with repetition. The smell of Dalton's cologne, the exact timbre of Jada's scream, the sting of metal on bone. Lorraine's pen scratches steadily, capturing timelines, phrasing, names. When Naomi finishes, Lorraine removes her glasses and leans back. "You're not the first," she says quietly. Naomi blinks. "First what?" "First person to walk in here with Deputy Ryan Dalton's name in their story." Lorraine opens a file drawer and pulls out a thin folder. "I'm filing a request under our state's public records law. Personnel records, complaint histories, internal emails. They'll drag their feet, but they'll respond eventually." "Yet what do you think you'll find?" Naomi asks. "Complaints," Lorraine says. "Always complaints. The question is whether anyone ever did a damn thing about them." She slides a business card across the desk. "Go home. Focus on your daughter. Let me chase paper for a while." 2 weeks later, Lorraine calls. "I need you to come in," she says. "It's better if you see this in person, Naomi." Naomi makes the drive back to Atlanta, hands clenched on the wheel. Same office, same chair, but the folder on Lorraine's desk has grown fat, stuffed with printed emails, reports, and spreadsheets. "Public records response," Lorraine explains. "Deputy Dalton's personnel file and related documents." Naomi flips it open. 6 citizen complaints between 2017 and 2024. The first, excessive force on an unhoused man. Witnesses saying Dalton kept hitting after cuffs. Complaint 2, 2018. Unlawful vehicle search. Driver alleged racially charged comments. No contraband found. $300 in cash seized. Never documented as returned. Complaint 3, 2019. Driver detained 35 minutes on a roadside shoulder. No citation issued. $280 taken. Complaint 4, 2020. Threatening language during a routine stop. Driver captured partial audio on their phone. Recording mysteriously lost from evidence. Naomi's hands start to tremble. Complaint 5, 2021. Verbal abuse of a Latina mother during a stop, her kids in the back seat. Complaint 6, 2022. Falsified report. Drugs allegedly found in a car later determined to have been planted. Charges dropped on a technicality. 6 complaints, 6 internal investigations, 6 findings unsubstantiated. No suspensions, no unpaid leave, no retraining, nothing. Naomi looks up, stunned. "How is he still wearing a badge?" she whispers. "Because they investigated themselves," Lorraine replies. "Department takes the complaint. Department interviews its own. Department decides its people did nothing wrong." She pulls another sheet from the folder. An email chain. On top, message from Sheriff Randall Keaton to his shift supervisors dated June 15th, 2024. Subject line, citation quotas. Naomi reads, Need 15 additional citation this month to maintain overtime budget. Focus on rural stops. Low visibility areas preferred. Emphasize collection. Naomi blinks, reading it again. He's telling them to write more tickets, she says. He's telling them to squeeze people who can't fight back, Lorraine corrects. Rural roads with no cameras, no bystanders, drivers who look like they don't have lawyers on speed dial, folks who'll swallow the loss because they're too scared or too broke to push back. She lays one more document out, a spreadsheet thick with numbers and percentages. Asset forfeiture data for Whitmore County, Lorraine says. Last 5 years, Naomi scans the columns. Total value seized, $2.3 million. Percentage of seizures involving black drivers, 72%. Percentage of those seizures that led to criminal charges, 11%. The numbers sit there, cold and merciless. 72%, Naomi murmurs. Our county is what, 30-something%? Black? Lorraine nods once. 31? The math speaks for itself. Naomi feels the room tilt slightly. This isn't just about one night on County Road 11, one deputy with a taste for intimidation. It's a system humming quietly, shaving money and dignity from people like her. People like Jada. So what now? She asks. Lorraine's jaw sets. Now we make noise, we file suit, we subpoena records, we drag Sheriff Keaton, Deputy Dalton, and their cozy little operation into the light. We start with your case, Lorraine continues, tapping the folder. Your stop, your money, your daughter's trauma. Then we fold in patterns, these complaints, that email, this seizure data. We find other drivers willing to speak. We show a judge this isn't random. It's targeted. Naomi swallows. She pictures Dalton's smirk, Jada's terrified eyes in the mirror, Marcus promising to handle it. Whatever it takes, she says. I'm in. Good, Lorraine replies. Because this will get ugly before it gets better. They'll call you a liar. They'll drag your name. They'll act like you're the problem. Naomi straightens in her chair. I clean blood off my shoes after every shift to keep strangers alive, she says. I am not the problem. Lorraine's lips twitch. That's the spirit. She flips the folder closed with a decisive thump, eyes sharp. From this moment on, Lorraine tells her, we play on paper and in public. They've been hunting in the dark for years. Time to turn on the floodlights. Naomi takes a breath that feels like the first real one in days. Out in Whitmore County, patrol cars roll down quiet roads, lights off, hunting. At Fort Benning, Marcus scans emails, gathering ammunition of his own. Karma is awake now, and moving. This isn't just one bad deputy, Ms. Carter. This is a system built to work exactly like this. Lorraine's office goes quiet. Naomi stares at the files, pulse thudding in her ears. So what do we do? Lorraine leans forward. We build a federal civil rights case, pattern and practice, but paper isn't enough. We need people. We need other victims willing to stand beside you, on the record. We also need that dash cam video from your stop, Lorraine adds. Dalton claimed his body cam failed. Maybe so. But someone else was there that night. Older white guy, pulled over down the road. His dash cam was rolling. Naomi sees it again. The slowing car, the white hair, the steady gaze. How do you know about him? Lorraine smiles faintly. Your brother tracked him down. Marcus has been busy, she continues. He never shows up at meetings, never steps in front of cameras, but his fingerprints are everywhere. While Naomi worked night shifts and tried to sleep through nightmares, Marcus wove quiet connections. He found Harold Briggs through a favor owed at Georgia State Patrol. He got Special Agent Aaron Mills at FBI Atlanta looped in, an old teammate now working civil rights cases. Marcus connected Jordan Blake, an investigative reporter at Channel 7 News, with nervous insiders inside the sheriff's office. He linked Lorraine with attorneys in the DOJ Civil Rights Division who specialize in pattern and practice suits. Every phone call, every whispered introduction, every document sliding across some government inbox flowed through Marcus Reed. Calm, careful, deliberate. To him, this wasn't just a lawsuit. It was an operation. Meanwhile, Jordan Blake chased his own leads. 38, sharp-eyed, too stubborn to let stories die just because they're messy. He's heard rumors about Whitmore County for years. Always smoke, never enough fire. Now he has a match in his hand. He shows up at Lorraine's office with a recorder and a notepad. "I want this story on camera," he says. Names, faces, documents, all of it. Lorraine studies him over steepled fingers. "Why?" Jordan doesn't hesitate. "Because somebody needs to, because looking away keeps bad people safe." She eventually hands him copies of the redacted records and public documents, watches his face as the pattern emerges. "This isn't random," he murmurs. "This is an engine." He glances up. Who's paying for all this? Someone with reach is steering. Lorraine's expression stays carefully blank. "Let's just say Ms. Carter isn't fighting alone," she replies. Jordan is wise enough not to push. Across town, Naomi sits on Evelyn's porch steps, watching Jada chase fireflies in the dim yard. The child is laughing, spinning, a blur of braids and bare feet. Like that night on County Road, 11 never happened. Kids bounce back. Grown-ups remember. Naomi's phone buzzes in her hand. "How are you holding up?" She types back, "I'm okay." Lorraine says the case is strong. His reply arrives almost instantly. "Good. Stay patient. Everything's moving." Naomi swallows. "I don't know how to thank you for all this." There's a pause then. "You don't thank family for doing family things. Just love that kid. I'll handle the rest." The call ends. But the storm is still building. If you've ever felt like every rule was stacked against you, like the game was rigged from the start, stay with me. What comes next almost crushes Naomi before justice ever gets close. Sheriff Randall Keaton believes he can smother this in paperwork, pressure, and fear. He has no idea just how badly he's misjudged the woman in the faded Honda and the man standing behind her. Keaton's campaign office sits in a cheap strip mall on Cedarville's north side. Plastic flags on the walls, red, white, blue bunting drooping in the windows, giant poster of his grinning face over the slogan, "Keeping Whitmore County Secure, 4 more years." 12 years as sheriff, 3 terms, 15 as a deputy before that. A lifetime of badges and control. Pollsters say he's up 12 points. He believes them. His campaign manager, a jumpy 30-something named Evan, hovers in the doorway with a manila folder. "Sheriff, we've got an issue." Keaton flips through the pages. Public record requests, out-of-county civil rights attorney, reporter questions about seizure numbers. "The Carter woman?" he asks. "Yes, sir. She's not letting this go." Keaton snorts. "I've seen complaints come and go. People run out of money or courage. Then it fades. Except this one feels different," Evans says carefully. "Different how?" Keaton's patience frays. Evan hesitates. "Someone's propping her up. Someone with resources I can't trace." Keaton leans back, jaw tightening, then trace harder. He picks up his phone, his tone turning cold. And while you're digging, I'll talk to a few friends. We'll nudge this in the right direction. That evening, Naomi's phone lights with an unknown caller. She almost taps decline. Instead, she swipes. Hello? Ms. Carter. The man's voice is smooth, professional, the kind people use to sell financial products. I'm calling on behalf of certain concerned community members. Who is this? Naomi asks. That's not really the point. What matters is understanding how draining lawsuits can be. The expense, the stress, especially on a single mother already stretched thin. Her grip tightens. Are you threatening me? She asks. I'm offering perspective, he says lightly. Family Services opens investigations all the time. Custody reviews are common when a parent seems unstable, overwhelmed, making questionable choices. The meaning lands like a kick. Are you saying you'll try to take my daughter? Naomi demands. I'm saying you might want to reconsider your path. His voice stays polite. Have a pleasant evening, Miss Carter. Click. Naomi stands frozen in her kitchen, the hum of the fridge suddenly deafening. Her hands shake, chest tight, but then memory snaps into place. Marcus's voice telling her, record everything. She snatches up her phone. The recording app she'd opened when the unknown number popped up is still running. Every veiled threat perfectly captured. The next morning, she sits across from Lorraine and hits play, hands clenched. Lorraine listens without interrupting, face carved from stone. When the audio ends, she exhales slowly. That, she says, is textbook witness intimidation, potentially criminal. Naomi's voice is small. What do I do? You keep going, Lorraine answers. This is exactly why they've gotten away with it so long. They scare people off. You don't run, you document. 2 days later, a text pings Naomi's phone. Unknown number again. Back off or lose your kid. Naomi screenshots it immediately, sends it to Lorraine, sends it to Marcus. His reply comes in 3 steady words. Keep going. Trust me. At the sheriff's office, Keaton closes his office door with Deputy Ryan Dalton standing across from his desk. This Carter situation, Keaton asks, is it going to bite us? Dalton shrugs, trying for relaxed confidence. I did everything by the book, Dalton insists. Body cam glitched. Happens a lot. Witnesses, Keaton presses. Just the woman and her little girl, no one else. Keaton taps a pen against his desk. She's got an Atlanta civil rights attorney. That's not cheap. Someone's paying. She's an ER nurse, single mom, beat-up car. Where's that money coming from? Dalton shrugs again. Beats me. She looked ordinary. That's what bothers me, Keaton mutters. He pulls up Naomi Carter's background on his computer. 35. Emergency nurse, clean record, no lawsuits, no political donations, no obvious connections. She's nobody, Dalton says. No family money, no big-name friends. Nobody's writing in for her. Keaton nods slowly. That's what I figured. Dalton smirks. She fit the profile, boss. Easy stop, easy cash. For the first time, Keaton feels uneasy. Later that week, Keaton's cell rings. A City Hall contact, voice low. Wade, we've got issues. Channel 7's asking pointed questions about your forfeiture numbers, and somebody leaked internal emails. Keaton's blood runs cold. What emails? Those ticket quota memos. Silence stretches. Find out who leaked them, Keaton says tightly, and find out who's bankrolling Carter. 2 more days, another call. The news is worse. I couldn't pull much on the sister, the contact says, but something weird popped up. FBI Atlanta Civil Rights Division has taken an interest in your department. The Bureau, Keaton snaps, over a traffic stop? No idea why, but someone connected them to the case. Someone with federal juice. Keaton ends the call, throat suddenly dry. For the first time in a long time, the sheriff feels something sharp. Fear. At Cedarville General, Naomi gets called into her supervisor's cramped office. Ruth, usually warm and easygoing, looks miserable. Naomi, we need to talk, she begins. We've been getting anonymous calls. Complaints. Naomi frowns. About what? Your judgment? Your stability? Nothing specific, just ugly insinuations. Ruth sighs. I don't believe a word of it. Your record's spotless. But administration wants me to encourage you to take a leave. Naomi feels the floor tilt again. They're coming for everything, one piece at a time. Her savings, her job, her child. That night, after Jada is asleep, Naomi calls Marcus. I don't know how much more I can take, she admits. His voice is steady, calm, that same tone he used describing missions she was never allowed to know about. They're doing exactly what I expected, Nene, he says. Desperate people do stupid, desperate things, Marcus continues. It doesn't feel desperate, Naomi whispers. It feels like they're winning. That's the illusion, he says. They think they're tightening the noose. They don't realize they're already standing in the trap. How can you be so sure, she asks. Because they still don't know who they're up against, he answers quietly. They still think this is just you and a lawyer. He pauses. When they finally figure it out, I'd pay good money to see their faces. Later, a sheriff's office spokesman issues a bland statement to local media. No comment on pending litigation. All actions follow policy. Keaton convinces himself he's still in control. He has no idea who Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Reed really is, or how many powerful people answer when Marcus dials their number. That night, Jada wakes screaming at 2 a.m. Naomi sprints down the hall, heart in her throat, finds her daughter tangled in sweat-soaked sheets, eyes wide, gasping. Mama, don't let them take me, Jada sobs. Hey, I've got you, Naomi whispers, pulling her close. The little girl trembles against her. The bad man was yelling, Jada says, with the blue and red lights. He was taking you away. It was just a bad dream, baby, Naomi says. Even though they both know it wasn't only a dream, it was memory, replaying in her child's head. 6 years old, carrying fear she can't name. Naomi carries Jada into the living room. They curl up on the couch, blanket over both of them. Mama, do we have to hide? Jada whispers. Naomi's chest cracks. Hide from who? She asks softly. From the police, Jada says. Do we have to hide from them? Naomi swallows back tears. No, sweetheart, we're not going to hide. But even as she says it, she's not certain. The nightmares come every night now. Jada jumps at sirens, flinches at patrol cars, stiffens around uniforms. 6 years old, and she's already learned what it means to be scared of the people who say, protect and serve. After Jada finally drifts off against her side, Naomi sits alone in the dark, listening to the clock tick. The glow of her phone cuts a small square of light on the coffee table. She dials Marcus. Nene, it's 3 a.m, he answers, voice rough. I know, I'm sorry. Her voice breaks. I don't know if I can keep this up. Yet talk, he says. She pours it out. The threats, the anonymous complaints, Ruth's warning, Jada's nightmares. She asked if we had to hide from the police, Naomi whispers, and I couldn't promise she's safe because I don't know. Silence hums on the line. Then Marcus speaks softly. Remember when we were kids and someone messed with you at school? What did I tell you? He asks. Don't cry in front of them, Naomi whispers. Cry with me. Exactly, Marcus says. So cry now, with me. And she does. She lets everything crash down. Rage, terror, bone-deep exhaustion, the feeling of being ground under an entire system. When she finally runs out of tears, Marcus's voice shifts, firm again. Now listen. Tomorrow you're getting up. You're taking care of Jada. You're breathing, because I'm almost done. Done with what? She asks. Setting the trap, he replies. They came after you because they assumed you were alone, that no one would push back. They miscalculated. What if this doesn't work? She whispers. No what ifs, Naomi. Do you trust me? She thinks about scraped knees and schoolyard bullies, teenage heartbreak, deployment homecomings, every time Marcus has shown up. Yeah, she says. I trust you. Then trust me now, he says. Give me one more week, then they'll learn exactly who they picked a fight with. She exhales slowly. Okay. Get some sleep. Love you. Love you too. Naomi hangs up, slips into bed beside Jada, and watches her daughter breathe. I'm going to protect you, she whispers into the darkness, whatever it costs. In the kitchen, her phone buzzes again, a text from Marcus. Monday, 9 a.m. Everything shifts. That's all it says. What Marcus sets in motion. Next makes Sheriff Randall Keaton's blood run ice cold. Monday morning, 9:07 a.m., Keaton sits in his office scrolling through polling data. 6 weeks until Election Day, still leading comfortably. He's convincing himself he's untouchable when his office line rings. Keaton, he answers. On the other end, Captain Leonard Price sounds rattled. Sheriff, we've got a situation, Price says. Keaton rubs his temples. If this is about Carter again, it is. I just got off the phone with FBI Atlanta. Keaton straightens. The Bureau called you? Yes, sir. They're opening a formal civil rights investigation. Pattern and practice. Keaton's voice goes thin. On what basis? They've got everything, Price says. The public record files, the seizure stats, the internal emails you sent, and they have dash cam footage from that stop, Price adds. Keaton's stomach lurches. That's impossible. Dalton's body cam failed. Not Dalton's, Price says. A civilian's, retired schoolteacher. Dash cam recorded the whole thing. Keaton stares at his wall, suddenly blank. There's more, Price continues quietly. The agent mentioned the case was brought to them by someone with federal connections. Who? Keaton demands. I dug deeper on Carter's family, Price says. She has a half-brother. I ran a more extensive check. There's a long pause. Name's Marcus Reed. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Reed, U.S. Army Special Operations Command. Keaton frowns. Special Ops? What unit? Delta Force, yes, sir, Price answers. He commands a squadron, 20 years in uniform, multiple Silver Stars, joint operation with CIA, FBI, intel agencies. His contact list is... He trails off, numb. Full of people in Washington we couldn't even get past the receptionist with, Price finishes. Keaton doesn't move, doesn't breathe. Delta Force, he repeats. Yes, sir. We pulled over his sister on a dark road. We cuffed her, seized her cash, threatened her custody. We wrote it up as routine. Keaton's hand clamps down on his chair arm until his knuckles bleach white. Why didn't anyone catch this sooner? No one thought to look, Price says, voice hollow. She's a nurse, single mom, driving an old Civic. She matched the profile. She matched the profile, Keaton whispers, suddenly hearing how ugly that sounds. She's the sister of a man who can call cabinet-level officials on a personal line. He hangs up without another word, stares at the wall. Then he jabs another button. Dalton, my office, now. 10 minutes later, Ryan Dalton stands in front of his desk, arms crossed. What's going on? He asks. Keaton's stare is ice. When you stopped Carter, did she mention family? No, Dalton scoffs. Why would she? Because her brother is Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Reed, Keaton says, each word a hammer blow. Delta Force, one of the most connected special operators in this country. The color drains from Dalton's face. We put his sister in cuffs on a roadside, Keaton continues. We took her money. We let someone threaten her kid, all while he's making quiet calls to the FBI, DOJ, reporters. Dalton's mouth opens and closes. She was just some black woman in an old car, he stammers. She looked like what? Keaton explodes. An easy mark? Someone nobody would believe? Someone with no backup? Dalton doesn't answer. He doesn't have to. The truth hangs in the air. She is his sister, Keaton says, voice low, and he's been assembling this for weeks. FBI, media, Civil Rights Council, every road circles back to him. Silence stretches. Dalton finally whispers, "What do we do now?" For the first time in his career, Sheriff Randall Keaton has no answer. And the call from the FBI is only stage one. The trap Marcus built springs in a single coordinated burst. Every piece he arranged over 2 weeks slides into motion like dominoes tipping. FBI Atlanta formally opens a civil rights investigation into the Whitmore County Sheriff's Office. Their file is thick. Seizure spreadsheets, personnel complaints, internal memos. The DOJ Civil Rights Division requests a sit-down with county officials. This is no longer a quiet, local problem. It's federal. Channel 7 runs a primetime segment. Jordan Blake stands outside the sheriff's office, documents in hand, wind tugging at his tie. Internal emails obtained by our newsroom show Sheriff Randall Keaton directing deputies to increase traffic stops in isolated areas, he says into the camera. Community advocates say these stops have overwhelmingly targeted black drivers traveling alone. The Washington Post soon follows with its own in-depth piece. The national headline reads, "Rural Georgia Sheriff's Office faces federal probe over civil rights violations and cash seizures." And then comes the evidence that shatters careers. FBI techs tear through Dalton's body cam. The video is corrupted, just as he claimed. But the audio was stored separately. The microphone never failed. It recorded every second. Within 2 days, someone leaks the transcript. Lorraine reads key lines aloud at a press conference. Flashes pop as she speaks. Deputy Dalton, radioing another unit pre-stop, she says, voice carrying. Got a black woman in an old Honda. Doesn't belong in this neighborhood. Gonna check her out. She flips a page. Later, after Ms. Carter's in handcuffs, unaware his mic is live. These people think they can roll through here like they own the place. The room goes dead quiet. Then erupts. Questions fly. Lorraine doesn't flinch. Naomi watches from a corner of Lorraine's office, Jada's drawing tucked in her bag. Her hands tremble, not from fear, but something sharper. Relief. His own voice, she whispers. His own words. Lorraine nods. No spin, no confusion. He testified against himself. The fallout is immediate. Keaton dials political allies, business donors, Neighboring sheriffs. Voicemail, excuses. Doors slam in his face. Dalton hires a criminal defense lawyer. The attorney reviews the files, the audio, the dashcam video, the internal memos. His advice is simple: prepare for federal charges. The Whitmore County Board of Supervisors calls an emergency closed-door session. Cable news, social media, talk radio. Everyone runs the same storyline. A black single mother, a predatory deputy, a sheriff's office using traffic stops as a revenue stream. Through it all, Marcus never steps near a microphone. He doesn't attend press conferences, doesn't tweet, doesn't give quotes. He doesn't need to. The structure he built is moving under its own power now. That night, Naomi calls him. "How did you even pull this off?" she asks. "Honestly," he says, "I didn't do that much. I introduced the right truth to the right people and stepped back." "You tore them down," she says. "No," Marcus replies. "They tore themselves down. I just made sure there were enough witnesses." She's quiet a long moment. "Thank you," she says finally. "I don't know how I ever—" "Don't thank me yet," he cuts in gently. Thursday, the grand jury meets. That's when this becomes real. "And after that," she asks, "then we see if justice is more than a slogan." On TV, Harold Briggs, the retired teacher whose dashcam saved everything, appears on the evening news. "I'm 72, he tells the reporter. "I taught history for 40 years. I've seen plenty, but I've never seen anybody treated like that lady on that road." He looks straight into the lens. "She did everything right. Hands on the wheel. Yes, sir. No, sir. Didn't matter. They cuffed her in front of her girl." Every avenue Keaton tries is blocked. Old favors go unreturned. People who once begged for his endorsement now won't be seen near him. Marcus didn't just trigger investigations. He made sure when the hammer fell, Keaton would be standing alone. Thursday morning, the Richard B. Russell Federal Building in downtown Atlanta rises into gray skies, all steel and stone, and the idea of justice carved in its walls. At 9 a.m., a federal grand jury convenes. 23 regular citizens asked to weigh the case. The prosecutor moves step by step. The dash cam clip from Harold's car, 4 minutes and 38 seconds of escalating harassment. Dalton's falsified incident report claiming aggression and non-compliance, the stack of prior complaints, the quota emails. Then they play Dalton's body cam audio. His own words echo through the closed room like a verdict. "Got a black woman in an old Honda. Doesn't belong in this neighborhood." The jurors read the transcript as they listen. They see Naomi on video, hands locked on the wheel, voice trembling but compliant. Nothing in Dalton's report matches the footage. They study the seizure stats, 70+% of assets taken from black drivers in a county that's 31% black. The pattern is undeniable. The questions write themselves. Deliberations last 4 hours. The indictment takes 4 minutes to read into the record. United States of America, Ryan Dalton. Count 1, deprivation of rights under color of law, Title 18, Section 242, maximum penalty, 10 years in federal prison. Dalton turns in his badge that afternoon. Cameras catch him leaving the sheriff's building between 2 U.S. Marshals. He stares at the concrete. His lawyer speaks instead. Deputy Dalton maintains that the audio has been misinterpreted and taken out of context, the attorney tells reporters. He will contest these charges vigorously. Nobody buys it. The FBI announces a separate ongoing investigation into Sheriff Keaton and the Whitmore County Sheriff's Office for systemic discrimination and abuse of civil asset forfeiture. Keaton gives a shaky press conference, insisting he'll cooperate fully, insisting he's always served with honor. Reporters shred him with questions about quotas, about why complaints vanished, about how many drivers lost cash without charges. He evades most of them, flees to his SUV. Later that afternoon, outside the federal courthouse, Keaton leaves a side entrance with 2 county security officers. A tall man in civilian clothes steps into his path. Calm, steady, eyes like stone. "Sheriff," he says quietly, "I'm Marcus Reed, Naomi Carter's brother." Keaton's face drains of what little color he has left. Marcus takes another step, lowering his voice so only Keaton can hear. "I wanted you to see me, to remember this moment." Keaton swallows. "Remember what?" Marcus leans in. "Just enough. That you targeted the wrong person. Next time you think about shaking down some woman on a dark road, you'll remember my sister's name. Wasted." He lets the silence hang, then turns and walks away. Keaton stands rooted, dazed. His security detail has to steer him toward the car. That night, Naomi watches the news with Jada sleeping, curled against her side. She sees the indictment headlines, the investigation banners, the first cracks of accountability. Her phone lights up. "Marcus, you saw," he texts. "Yeah," she replies. "How do you feel?" She thinks about the terror, the threats, the nights holding a shaking child, about Ruth's office, the anonymous calls, the unknown voice promising to take Jada. "Honestly," she types back, "for the first time since that stop, I feel like maybe this fight actually mattered." His answer comes quickly. "It always mattered, Nene." They just didn't realize who they were messing with until it was too late. 3 weeks later, election night. Whitmore County's results crawl across the bottom of the TV. Sheriff Randall Keaton loses in a landslide, 20-plus points. His challenger, a former state trooper running on transparency and reform, sweeps nearly every precinct. Dalton waits for trial, facing a decade behind bars if convicted. His lawyer files motion after motion to toss the audio. Legal analysts on cable news shake their heads. Unlikely. The sheriff's office falls under federal oversight. New interim leadership steps in. Policies are rewritten. Bias training becomes mandatory. An outside auditor tracks forfeiture dollars. Deputies grumble, but they follow orders. Naomi receives a check from the county treasurer. $480 plus interest. Blood money returned. She gets the Honda's AC fixed like she planned months ago. When she walks back into Cedarville General, her co-workers meet her with hugs. Small black ribbons appear on scrub pockets and ID lanyards, a quiet protest against what was done to her. Ruth pulls Naomi aside, apologizing for ever suggesting she step away. Naomi shrugs it off, but the support lands deep. Slowly, Jada's nightmares fade. She starts singing along with the radio again, coloring in the back seat, waving at fire trucks instead of hiding behind Naomi's arm. Kids heal in ways adults envy. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Reed receives a promotion and another assignment. He could have become part of the story, given interviews, stood at podiums, turned this into a brand. Instead, he chooses the shadows he's always worked in. The people in suits know what he did. The public doesn't need to. Before he ships out again, he comes home to Cedarville for a few days, one more quiet visit. Jada barrels into him at the door, waving a wrinkled piece of construction paper. "Uncle Marcus, I made you something." It's a crayon drawing, 2 stick figures holding hands, one in blue scrubs, one in a green uniform with too many medals. Above them, in wobbly letters, it reads, "My heroes." Spelled wrong, perfect anyway. Marcus kneels, throat thick, and pulls her into a hug that feels like a promise. He hugs Naomi next, then Evelyn, folding his family in close. "Thank you," Naomi whispers into his shoulder, "for everything, for not letting them win." Marcus shakes his head. "That's what we do," he says. "We look out for our own." They thought Naomi was alone, thought she was poor, powerless, disposable, thought nobody would challenge them over a few $100s and a bruised wrist. They were wrong, spectacularly wrong. If you've ever been dismissed, underestimated, treated like you don't count, if someone decided your voice didn't matter because of where you live, what you drive, or what you look like, this story is for you. Drop your own story somewhere, even if it's just in a note to yourself. Remember this: power isn't always loud. Sometimes it's a sister in scrubs and a brother on the other end of a phone. Sometimes it's a retired teacher who refuses to delete a video. A lawyer who knows exactly which statute to swing like a hammer. An agent who actually cares what those numbers mean. A kid who keeps singing in the backseat even after the worst night of her life. Karma isn't always quick. It isn't always neat. But when it finally shows up, it can be devastatingly precise. Naomi drives home from another night shift. Cool air finally blowing from the vents. Jada humming off-key behind her. The road is the same. The county is the same. But something in her chest has shifted. She did not bend. She did not disappear. The badge that tried to break her is now a case file in federal court. The next time someone thinks she's an easy mark, they'll think twice. They thought she was just a tired nurse in a beat-up Honda. They thought nobody important knew her name. They thought she'd fold the moment they rattled her cage. Instead, they woke up. Delta Force, the FBI, national media, and a mother with nothing left to lose. If you've ever been underestimated, remember Naomi Carter. Remember Jada. Remember this: you are never as alone as they hope you are. No one is as powerless as they look. If you're in your 60s or 70s, you've seen how quickly power can be misused. Naomi looked like an easy target to that deputy, a black nurse in an old Honda, coming home bone-tired from a night shift. But those of us who've lived a while know people are more than what they drive. Behind that worn car stood a woman who saves lives, a little girl who needed her mother, and a brother whose voice could reach far beyond a dusty Georgia back road. Family and quiet allies are a force. With age, we learn that real strength often moves in silence. It's the son who shows up when you fall, the neighbor who watches your porch light, the friend who still answers at midnight. For Naomi, that strength was Marcus, her mother, a retired teacher with a dash cam, and a steady lawyer in Atlanta. Together, they turned one humiliating traffic stop into a federal case, proving that when decent people stand together, even a crooked system can be pushed back. Speaking up protects the next generation. Grandparents carry a special worry. We want our grandkids to be less afraid than we were. Naomi could have swallowed the fear, taken the loss, told herself to forget. Instead, she chose courtrooms, cameras, and sleepless nights so Jada wouldn't grow up thinking abuse in a uniform is normal. Every voice like Naomi's makes it a little harder for the next deputy to harm someone in the dark, and a little easier for the next child to believe America can still be made fair. Friends, after hearing Naomi and Marcus's story, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever been treated as less than because of your age, your race, or the way you look? And did anyone quietly step up for you the way Marcus did for his sister? If you feel comfortable, share a moment when someone's courage or support changed the outcome for you or your family. Please like this video, leave a comment with your story, and subscribe to my YouTube channel so you don't miss more real-life lessons and hope-filled stories like this one.